Good morning, good morning, good morning.
GM. How's it
How
going?
are you?
Good.
It's look, we have a hell of a day ahead of us. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little excited. I've been looking at some movements, some money that's going into certain projects, and I get the feeling, and I want to be a little cautiously optimistic, but I have a feeling we might be seeing some signs of life in the NFT market. Obviously, I'll share why later on in the show, so don't forget to tune in for that. But I'm curious to get your take on it. We will jump in, but guys, if you are just tuning in, this is a WGMI Morning Show, the 6th episode. It's crazy. We're already on the 6th episode. But
Half dozen.
This is where it's crazy. It's crazy. On this show, we bring you everything and anything you need to know about the NFT market in 30 minutes or less using WGMI.io's various tools to provide you some additional insights on what we might be seeing and try to provide you a little bit of a competitive advantage here in the market, which is hard to get right now. But if you do like some of the analytics, some of the tools that you're seeing, comment below or retweet our broadcast, and you may win a 7-day trial to use our tools risk-free. Ray and I know there's no shortage of the tools that we have to provide you. So that's obviously exciting. As always, either way, we'd really appreciate it if you do retweet this tweet. We're also live on YouTube at WGMI.io. The link is also posted within our Twitter thread. And look, I'm a Chile Army 123 or Clemente, and this is my co-host Ray, Arts of NFT. Ray, how's the news feed looking for today? What are we? Do we have more of a packed day, or can we have a chance to maybe have a little bit more of a discussion on some things regarding the NFT market?
You know, our analysts and curators were very busy yesterday. We have quite a packed show as usual, and we'll say we'll do it in 30 minutes. I think maybe this time we can, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. But tons of news, tons of things going on in the NFT market, and a couple issues to touch on for the macro as well.
Awesome. That's great. Well, look, we're going to change up the structure a little bit of the show today. We're going to start by myself going into a little bit of a morning market report, brief update on what's going on within the broader NFT market, and then Ray will jump in and share the news, and then we'll jump into more of some projects and setups that I'm looking at, what I'm watching and why, and that'll be brought to you by our dashboard. But going forward here, look, yesterday's OpenC volume was $13 million. It is the third day in a row that we're seeing an increase in volume, so that's definitely encouraging to see. Ethereum's price is sitting at mid 1300s again for the third day in a row. Ray, we've discussed this in the past. It definitely seems like when you do have Ethereum kind of hovering and staying at these price levels, it usually bodes well for NFTs. So that might be something that we're seeing right now, or it might be something that we're going to continue to see draw out. So definitely fun to see there. Mutants are actually leading the way at 636 Ethereum in volume, right behind Bored Apes, also at the 600s. Personally, I think that might be because of the ape coin shenanigans that are going to be going on. I've been seeing a lot of that come up in my Twitter on Discord, so definitely something to watch for there. Ray, you might be able to add some context there. Then we have 50 years of Atari at 400 ETH in 24-hour volume. That was something that definitely popped up that's new. Seems like definitely a smaller collection with 417 listed at 16%. They did 1,200 sales in the last 24 hours. Listings are starting to go up, which is expected when you have some of these runs. Look, this kind of seems encouraging to me. We talk about this a lot, that there is money. It's not that there's not money sitting on the sideline waiting to come in. I believe some confidence is needed in the overall NFT market, or maybe some sort of innovation will bring that money out of the sideline. Possibly that Fed meeting later this afternoon will provide some help there. But Ray, what do you think? I'd love your thoughts. How do you feel about the current market, and what things would you like to see more of before maybe we can start saying that the NFT market is back and it is alive? Obviously, that is a little bit further away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still pretty bearish overall right now. I'm not rushing to jump into anything. It's nice to see some increased volume, but we've been talking about this, the past few days. It's really what is the flavor of the day at this point. I think we're going to continue to see volume into mutants and Bored Apes as some people are getting back into the space. They're seeing information on ApeCoin staking coming out. They're seeing like potential APYs and all this theoretical math on how much money you can make with the ApeCoin. And needing, a Bored Ape or a mutant to maximize their return. So I think we'll see, continued sales there. I don't think that's very surprising, but it is nice to see that volume on that, sort of speculation. The 50 Years of Atari project, that was a new mint yesterday from Atari. They've had a couple other collections in the past. I think I minted one of those a while ago, one of their other collections. This was a kind of a 50-year anniversary collection. I don't know too many details on this. I need to look into it a bit more, but I did see it was being talked about a bit yesterday. There was some volume, like you said. I mean, it's still kind of coming back to that, pattern of like, what is the flavor of the day? That project, there's a couple thousand ETH of volume going into those 2-3 projects each day. But, I remember back in January, February, we're seeing, thousands of ETH all across the top 10 projects. So we're nowhere near those levels. It would be nice to see that bull run come back. And when that does come back, we are going to see, good price movement on some of these established projects. Something definitely to look forward to.
I think we forget sometimes how the market used to look back in January. Like I'd love to actually see one of these dashboards for like January 15th of 2022, just to compare what it would look like. That could be something that could be fun to pull up to actually remind us of how crazy that time was. But you do get used to seeing this type of market. I was definitely encouraged though, so it is interesting to hear your take on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes I go into our Discord and I look at our floor bot and I look at some of the volume these projects were doing. 10,000 ETH of volume. Like, I mean, there's a lot of volume on some of these projects during some of these run-ups. We were seeing upper 1,000 ETH in volume for Hate Prime on January 26th. And that was like number 7 or 8 on the list of volume. So like looking at those kind of runs in the past, to definitely feel a bit nostalgic, and would love to see that again, for sure. In terms of the macro right now and affecting the price of ETH and the overall market in general, we are expecting the Fed meeting to conclude today and hear a little bit more about the rate increase. I think that's coming out 2:30 Eastern. The market's expecting somewhere either a 75 or 100 basis point hike. 75 likely priced in, 100 maybe some doom and gloom. So definitely something to watch out for. And then in addition to the actual rate increase, we're also looking to see what their outlook is on inflation, the rates, the economy as a whole, as that can kind of dictate where we're heading for future rate cuts. If it is a large rate hike and they are saying, hey, like, we're making this large rate hike, we understand it's going to affect a bit in the short term, but we think that we can avoid another hike coming down the road. We may see a bit of positive sentiment surrounding the market for sure. Outside of those macroeconomic conditions and kind of the overall perspective on the NFT market right now, it's about it for me. I know we do have a decent amount of news to jump into, but definitely all eyes on those macro conditions later this afternoon.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye out on that. And tomorrow morning, depending on how that goes, you will hear an update from us to keep you updated on what's going on that area, because as much as we maybe sometimes don't like it, they are all correlated, especially with these extremely, extremely risky assets like NFTs. Ray, I'd love to hear your take on the news and what's been going on in the last 24 hours from the newsfeed point of view, brought to you by our curators that are going in and day out, making sure you're being up to date on what's going on with your portfolio. Last thing I'll say is, guys, if you like what you're seeing, don't forget to retweet our broadcast, and we will, and you have a chance to win a 7-day trial to use all WGMI tools. I'll stop talking now, and Ray, you can you can take it from here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Tweet us, retweet us, send us a message. We'll enter you in for that chance to use the tool. We'd love to have you in there clicking around, try before you buy, take a look, and provide any feedback on what you think you like, what could be improved. This is a constantly updating project. We're iterating on it day in and day out. You'll see some of these updates as we're kind of continuing on with these shows, making it look nicer, easier on the eyes, more functionality, everything to make it the most valuable tool for our users. But jumping into the news today, we have a raffle for the littles available to Zen Academy holders. This seems like we see it one raffle per day almost lately for Zen Academy. So make sure you're cashing in on that utility if you hold one of the Zen Academy passes. Kevin Rose tweeted early this morning. He was up early, woke up, couldn't sleep, teased a bit about the proof token, said he's working on it actively. May not be giant news, but anytime you hear a token, you hear any kind of news or development on that, you could see some volume, could see some speculation on those assets. We have Swoops is minting today. That is like a fantasy NBA where you own players. It's very similar to, if anyone's familiar with DraftKings Rainmakers. That's minting today at 4 p.m. Eastern. Congrats if you're listening and you purchase one of the all access passes that we own. You're on the allow list. We snapshotted all of the wallets of our all access NFT holders the other night, provided them over to the Swoops team, and you will be able to mint this today. So definitely something to check out. Cool project. If you're into sports, if you're into basketball, it's very, daily, reminiscent of daily fantasy football, daily fantasy basketball. You get to set teams, use different salary caps, I believe, and I believe there's some sort of NFT ownership involved as well. So definitely one to check out, especially if you are able to mint. This morning, we saw a project pop up followed by Tim Ferriss called Tim Nifties. There is no confirmation on Tim Ferriss's official account, but we are seeing the follower count grow here in addition to this followers count, which is always indicative of this project getting a decent amount of attention. This account claims that there will be more news revealed. Placeholder account. The profile illustration doesn't necessarily reflect the project, but one to keep an eye out for and get in on early. Make sure you're following that for all news related to that project, as a project by Tim Ferriss would definitely capture all of the NFT market's attention for sure. We have a bit of news from Matoshi doing double duty here while World of Women and 10KTF. First with World of Women, they are having a on Cyber curation contest. So if you set up your on Cyber gallery from your capacitors, if you turned it in and got a an on Cyber gallery from burning your WoW capacitor, you can decorate it and submit it for a chance to win different NFTs, different galleries, capacitors. So there are a number of prizes there. I think that these curated galleries are very cool. Like they're something I think is going to draw the masses into the space, or at least is something that the masses will want once they're in the space. I think a lot of people enjoy having kind of a home base that they can personalize in the metaverse, where they can kind of make it their own and curate it with the things that they own. I know we talk about all of these assets being a digital flex, but for it to be a digital flex, you need somewhere to display it and really show it off, and it being a spot that someone will visit as well. So cool, keeping an eye on things like this. If you do have one of those capacitor residences and you own World of Women, definitely something to enter into to have a chance of winning some potentially valuable NFTs. On to the next Matoshi update following the 10KTF. Make sure you are sending your avatars, your assets on the mission. Registration closes tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. They're saying, is this the end? It's after the last week's fight where the Kaiju defeated the mech. It'll be interesting to see where the story goes. Is the Kaiju going to come run over the home base, destroy the shop again? Is everything going to be down? What is the outcome that we're expecting here? Could see potential for that to happen, and then a long gap of quiet. So interesting to watch this. We'll see how it develops when we kind of hear more on Thursday. But be sure to enter in and register for this mission. Up next, we have Jeremy Hone, one of the, or I would like to say the premier content creator for VeeFriends, providing us with updates. There was a message in Discord from Gary Vee saying that September 28th is going to be a big date. There's a podcast teasing creation of some toys from this company Tokido. I know that VeeFriends for a while have teased out this toy play being one of their verticals, one of their arms that they are going to be growing and pushing. So something to watch out for here. I'm sure we'll hear more news leading up to this announcement from Jeremy, but something to keep an eye on. Maybe listen to that podcast if you are in the VeeFriends ecosystem to get a good breakdown on what exactly their plan is there. I know you had a little bit to say on this in terms of the VeeFriends ecosystem. It's one that you've been talking about for a bit. Do you have any thing to add here?
Well, yeah, look, I went on it. I was looking at VeeFriends because I look, VeeFriends Series 1 are a little too pricey for me, but I was looking at this news going through everything last night for the show this morning. And I took a look at this and I was like, okay, the last two times that an expert curator was talking to us about these kinds of things was ONG with Azuki. I tweeted about it yesterday. ONG with Azuki at 0.55 saying beans are kind of the Bored Ape Kennel Club of the Azuki ecosystem. They're not very involved in the storyline, but I believe we'll see something pick up over the next couple of weeks. That exactly happened, and they ran to 1.2 yesterday. Red Sox guy has been warning us about there's going to be some stuff going on with Cool Cats. It happened last week during the market talk. Then now they pumped to about 2.9 ETH. They settled down at 2.5 on speculation that the new CEO might be announced for Cool Cats. And today, or last night rather, Jeremy was saying, hey, guys, this is possibly what might be going on with VeeFriends Series 2. So I took that as a sign of like, hey, you know what? Let me just go see what's going on because I haven't checked on them in a while. And when you look at the listings, what I love to see was look at the listings were going down. They're starting to see some signs of life in terms of volume. Some sales are starting to come in. Over the last 24 hours, we saw 50 sales. You need to take into account, obviously, and this is the only downside, is that VeeFriends Series 2 is 100,000 NFT collection, which is an insane amount. But to me, I looked at it, I'm like, man, I've always been wanting to get one of these. I've been wanting to get into this ecosystem for a while. Last night, I put in an offer at 0.32 ETH or 0.4. What's it? Is the floor sitting at right now? I believe it ran 0.5. Now it's sitting at it's 0.34. I put in an offer last night at 0.32. It got accepted, Ray. So that was a purchase for me yesterday, which I'm excited about. Look, I've been wanting to get into this ecosystem for a while, and it's one of those where like I feel comfortable sitting with it. And like my strategy as of recently has been like I don't really buy into these big early projects. I like buying into later on because it has a lot higher upside, but it's a lot stabler of a project. I don't have time to necessarily be like constantly checking what's going on. So this is one that I'm comfortable just buying, letting it sit there for a while. I believe I got like a tenacious termite or something like that.
Yeah, I watched VeeFriends 2 as it came out, and I was close to pulling the trigger. Hearing that these spectacular traits were, sought after, and they were, a bit more wanted and should hold a bit more value over time. And I was looking at some of these, and I think they were a little over 1 ETH at the time, and that would have been a good long-term buy then. I just wanted to take another look because that's one of the first things I look at with these. I know it's such a big collection. Sometimes some of these rares, if you aren't going right at the floor, sometimes some of these rares could be not priced correctly. If that floor does run, some of the high-end rares might not have ran yet, or there might not be the liquidity there. So something I'm looking out for. I always check, our trade floor gaps on our Project Explorer page. You can see what the lowest listing is and then what the gap is before the next listing to, potentially, bring the floor up there. You buy 2.59, the floor is now 2.99, undercut that potentially, depending on the royalty and, the gap. You can, make some quick arbitrage opportunities, or if, you're looking pretty thin here up to 5, you can, speculate the price is going to continue to run. I need to do more diving into VeeFriends too, see how they're related to this announcement exactly before I jump in though. So it's kind of speculating for now, but something to keep an eye on for sure.
You do you're doing what I wish I did, which is like sit down and say, hey, what's going on here? Let's check out exactly why. So using this as kind of more of an exploratory tool and then going more into like, hey, this announcement, what could this mean for VF2 versus it just VFriends 1 versus me, I just put in an offer and it got accepted overnight. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, the more data you have, the better off you possibly can be. So we offer, tons of different workflows for investors and for collectors to make the best decisions on their assets. Not only on our Project Explorer page, but also on our portfolio page, and then also providing all that news for the news feed. We're trying to be that one-stop shop to help you make the best decisions, save the most time when doing this research and capture the most value. And, I think this would be a good time to tell you, if you want to get access to these tools right now, the best way to do that is to mint right now, WGMI.io. We're minting our all access pass. Currently, it provides access to all WGMI tools through the end of the year. We'll give you discounts on future seasons. If you like what you see here, if you want to get your hands on these tools, that is how you do it. But moving on, I know you talked about Red Sox guy and the Cool Cats. We had another announcement from him talking about the Cool Comic minting that happens at 3 p.m. today. It's 75,000 milk. I believe it's not very expensive when you look at the price of milk. So if you're a Cool Cats holder, you're looking to mint that comic, definitely do so today. And we'll be talking to Red Sox guy and K-Duck a bit later to talk about the Doodles town hall today, and also the Cool Cats town hall today and the state of Doodles in general. So we'll have a deeper space on WGMI 6:30 p.m. Is that right?
Yes, 6:30 p.m. Should be a good one. I'm really excited to really dive into both projects with Red Sox guy and K-Duck and get a breakdown of, hey, what's been going on the last 30 days? What do we need to know about the next 30 days? And how do we kind of get as much information for how to prep for it as possible?
Yeah, for sure. And those spaces with our curators and our market talks have been some of the most valuable alpha you can get for WGMI, to be honest. There's been absolute fire drop the last couple Fridays that have, panned out. We had Azuki running, we had 10KTF, Genesis running, we had all kinds of calls that were made on these market talk shows by our curators that have kind of came to pass. And it's one of the benefits of our model here at WGMI, bringing on these ecosystem experts to provide you not only with the direct news, but with the insights behind them. And speaking more of that, we have a valuable contest here. If you're not familiar with QQL by Tyler Hobbs, the Fidenza creator, and Dandelion Whist, it is probably the most hyped art project of the year, and will probably continue to be that way. They have released their creator tool where you can create iterations of this art. I've done a bit myself. I made a handful, favorited a couple, made one that looks like a turkey. All kinds of interesting things you can do with this tool. The way it's working is that there'll be 999 mint passes. They're going to be sold in a Dutch auction, likely selling for more than 30 ETH a pop is my prediction. But if you play around with this tool a bit at qql.art.create, you create some cool outputs. Tyler's having a contest where you just basically tweet one of his tweets, provide the link to your output, provide an image to the output and tag it, and you have a chance to win one of those mint passes. Anybody with any time on their hands who would, find this valuable, which is basically anybody. If you could win a 30 ETH prize with 5-10 minutes of time, I think that it's potentially worth it. So something to check out, something we've highlighted on the newsfeed so that our users have the opportunity for that potential, financial windfall. Branching out a bit, we have Threelanders announcing a partnership with Core Games. I don't know much about Threelanders. I know you have some history in the project, Clemente. If you want to give me a kind of a brief synopsis of how you've done there and what exactly is going on in your opinion.
So it's like asking with this type of stuff, it's like asking you, hey, what's your story with your ex? I feel like it's a bad breakup. So about 4 months ago, I sold it's crazy. So I sold my alien friend at 1.5 ETH. Then I bought a cool pet at 1.45. And then I sold that cool pet at 1.4 to get a Threelander at that same price at 1.4. You look at them all now, and they all are down like 95%. I did end up selling my Threelander at 0.14 this week. Now They just brought on a new CEO and are seemingly announcing some new games. Look, to be honest with you, Ray, the art was what appealed to me, and I hope that they took more of like a branding route and really pushed the IP and the art. It took them 4 months, and again, nothing against Threelanders. I wish them the best. It feels like it took them 4 months to really do anything and to understand exactly what their holders were looking for. And they just kept doing like storytelling through airdrops that just further increased the barrier to entry. It got too confusing, so I left. But they are adapting, they are pivoting. The question to be asked is, do they have the money? Do they have the runway to be able to adapt and keep building this vision forward?
Yeah, interesting insight. A project that I was aware of but not informed about. Be interesting to see how that works. I know a lot of projects are pushing towards games. Moving on though, Magic Eden enabled a few collections, ETH collections, to be purchased with Sol, Sappy Seals, and Pudgy Penguins. Magic Eden, continuing to look to take market share away from OpenC. I believe they're using a third party to allow the purchase of these assets in Sol as opposed to only in ETH. So interesting to watch for Magic Eden and the market in general. Interesting to watch for these collections as they are released on Magic Eden. Do we see volume increases there as potentially more buyers are activated? Interesting to see. We had the potatoes stage 3 reveal yesterday. There's some different timelines showing like how long you need to stake to get to different stages, and we aren't sure how long it's take to get to 3 or to get from 3 to 4 and from 4 to 5. It's going to be another month before anything happens here with their meme land collection. Interesting to watch. Interesting to watch price action. You were talking about this a bit yesterday. What are your takes on the price action with the potatoes?
Yeah, I was excited because I was sitting there and I saw the stage 3 was revealed, and you see these like muscle potatoes or whatever. And I was excited. I was like, man, I called this out on the morning show. To be honest with you, I know it was at like 1.18 and it ran to, I saw it at 1.3 at one point. Seems like listings did go up. I don't know exactly what happens with these when they continue to evolve. But look, I think potatoes are going to continue to be at the top of my list in terms of potential movers. I don't see them going really below 1 ETH. It's one of those where like I feel pretty confident going into it, and don't mind like sitting with it for a little while. I do think 1 ETH is a little bit pricey, but it's just something to continue to monitor and watch when listings are so low.
Yeah, so I want to take a quick look at their page here, just their listing on the dashboard here. We do have the new filter capability, which is nice on the dashboard. You can filter by the different columns. One of our updates we pushed the other day makes it a little easier to see different collections, makes it easier to sort and filter by volume as well. Interesting to see their action over time for sure. Seeing the price action move slowly up, been pretty flat over the last few weeks. It didn't seem like this reveal really moved the needle, like you said.
Right.
Yeah. Moving on though, OpenC is going to be adding support for Arbitrum today. They had an announcement. So interesting to see for the holders of assets in the Arbitrum system. I'm sure holders of Smalls and Magic are all rejoicing, having easier access. I think one of the barriers to entry for Arbitrum was just the friction involved with getting over to that marketplace. So interesting to see there. Definitely take a look at assets on Arbitrum. There may be some price action moving into that addition. Moving on again, we have another sandbox experience release. This one is an artifact dungeon. So cool to see all of the major projects getting involved with Sandbox. I think Sandbox has been hyped for a while now. Been around for quite some time, has kind of had its glory days almost a year ago around this time when Metaverse Land was really the meta. So be interesting to see like the benefits and see them developing with all that capital that kind of flowed into that ecosystem. And I think we're seeing some of that now. It's just a matter of how fun, how engaging, and how many users are participating in some of these different dungeons and experiences. Also coming today, we have a blocks drop, always a big day when we see one of those. I think this is a Dutch auction running from 4 to 0.25. It's launching at 1 p.m. Eastern time. It's called Acts of Emotion by Kelly Milligan. We have, it looks like it is as it's rendering in real time with kind of the paint roller experience here. I looked at some of these. They look interesting. I think it's something I'm going to be watching for sure. As always, I know we've talked about this in the past, monitor volume on Art Blocks project, especially curated. If you can get in when it's selling out, you can normally flip for a profit. So something to watch out there as well. All of the links you need are included right here on the WGMI newsfeed. If you're a Cyberburgers holder, be on the lookout. There's going to be a first come, first serve claim here for a Medina Art Pass from Player Zero HQs. I don't know too many details about this. I looked at their webpage. It looks like they have some pretty impressive like video graphics and artwork there. But if you're a Cyberburgers holder, there's nothing better than free. Always make sure you're maximizing your value. As soon as more information is released on timing and links, will provide those to you as well. I know we talked about Quesars a little bit yesterday. From Quantum Key, we have a pre-mint to get the first patch. I'm not sure if they will have a number of these patches or badges over time and how that will interact with the actual collection, but definitely check that out. Enter in that pre-mint. There is no downside. So make sure you do that if you're anybody really. I don't want to provide financial advice, but anytime you can enter into an opportunity very quickly through a pre-mint like this, it's just no risk, and potential gain on the other side is worth the time. That being said, I think that wraps up our new major updates of the day. There are these and more on our news feed. If you're following that, you'll see all the news for your projects. You can also toggle on all news and see all news across all projects. Very valuable for getting an update on the market if you aren't watching the show and maybe are interested in some of the topics we haven't covered on the show today. That being said, I'll throw it over to you, Clemente, to see what you're thinking about today, what you've seen in terms of the dashboard, and then maybe you can wrap up afterwards.
Absolutely. Look, this is as far as what I've been watching for today. You look at the 1 day volume. We did cover this a little bit earlier. Continuing to see Ranga bleeding, and I don't think they're going to stop, to be honest with you, because what's happening now is the interest is going away, not the floor price is going down. Listings are going up continuously. They're up 50 over the last 24 hours. And the price continues to go down. So when you look at 24% listed and the supply there's going to continue to go from these black boxes being burned, I just don't really see how this floor price is going to turn around in the short term, other than Dirty Robot doing some sort of catalyst, providing some sort of action there. But that's fizzling out a little bit. The art definitely doesn't look as good at 0.87 ETH compared to when it was at 1.85.
Crazy how that happens.
Right. What's interesting is you're seeing potatoes, Moonbird oddities, duplicators, and beans all sitting at the same exact floor price, which is really cool to see. I'm going to be monitoring that today to see how the action goes on with that. Definitely interesting to see. I don't know which one you'd rather have personally for the long term. If I had to hold it for a year, I take oddities. If I had to hold it for the next month, you might be looking at a better play there with beans, to be honest with you. Just in my personal opinion, leading the way with 1 day sales. We see the 50 years of Atari. We see the Stoics coming in. My crypto smedgies are still holding strong at over 100. Last thing I will show you guys is Ray brought this up a little bit earlier. We now have filters set up. So if you're wondering, hey, what does Clemente do? How does he come up with these projects that he's watching for the day? This is literally, I'll walk you guys straight through it because founder Tom now made it possible to do so. So what I usually like to see is over 50 sales in the last day. What I also like to see is listed or volume over 50 ETH a day to show me that added liquidity. Wait, hold on. I didn't do that right.
Equals.
It needs to be.
There you go.
There we go. Now we're back in business. And then what I'd like to do is I like to sort by the 7 day volume to see what comes up here. And you're getting 5 projects that come into this little view. So that's 5 projects that I then go and say, okay, let me go look at their social media. Let me go look at the Discord. Let me go see what's going on in the next week and the next month. See if it is a curated project I like to ask the curator for this project, some questions, see what might come up. For example, beans coming up. I'd love to talk to Owen, see what's going on there, and see if it is something that is worth getting into, just to get that additional context that you can't necessarily get by looking at Discord, but getting it from someone that's in there every single day and understands what's going on. Ray, that's everything I have on my end. What are you looking for? Has anything come up for you in your market dashboard?
Yeah, so I do a little bit different view here. I kind of just take a high level looking at 7-day and 1-day change. Looking over the last 7 days, we've seen Women in Weapons, Bobu, Tableland Rigs, 3 projects that I've been in the past and I know a bit about. So I wanted to dive a bit into those today, see a bit more of what was going on. I dove into Women in Weapons. It looks like they are partnering with Galaxy Fight NFT, mobile cross IP mobile game for NFT Universe. Interesting to see what happens there. You can see all the different silhouettes of different projects. I can see a number here that look like they are our curated projects as well. So it'll be interesting to see all the developments here and how this game will eventually play out. But I think we see some of that price movement there due to that. I'm also looking at Tableland Rigs. I own a few of these. We saw, the floor run up from 7 days ago from 0.19, we're up to 0.36 now, almost 2x over the last 7 days. And, a pretty clear indicator in my mind is Ryan Carson and his fund. He posted something the other day talking to the founders again, hyped about their plans. This is a project he's already swept with that fund. He has another 1 million he's looking to allocate in October. He's tweeted about, so people here could say, oh, he's going to sweep again. Let me get that floor up. Let me buy some of these assets, and then we list into his future sweep, because his sweeps may not be super efficient, as he's basically not averaging in. He's picking a day and he's sweeping, so his cost basis could be a bit high for what he's actually purchasing if he were to dollar cost average over a period of time. So something to look out for there. I know he's also swept a decent amount of moonbirds. I don't believe they've swept oddities yet. That would be one to watch. He swept the Tiger Bob project. That's an art project by one of the artists who is pretty active in Proof as well. So definitely watch out. Maybe looking to see what Ryan Carson owns. Actually, I can potentially do that now. I actually saved his 121G wallet group. You can not only look at your own holdings, you can look at any combination of wallets you want to with WGMI. You can load, see your own portfolio value, see potentially other groups. You can create groups, make it easy to jump in between all of these assets. So kind of looking at what he's holding in these wallets, he's got 34 Moonbirds, 86 Ledger passes, 45 Tableland Rigs, 10 of these Tiger Bob collections. So interesting to see, looking at both their hot wallet and their vault wallet. All this is public information. If you were to look them up on OpenC, you'd see them as well. But you can see kind of what his investments are this far, and maybe speculate on what he may jump into down the road. But something I'll keep my eye out on. I'll reload this page every once in a while to see if there has been any additions, any price movement, or see what he might have potentially sold. That being said, those are the 2 projects I'm really watching in terms of World of Women, or Women and Weapons and Tableland Rigs. Looking at the dashboard view, but I think that might wrap us up for the day. I think we might have covered everything, huh?
Absolutely. It was a jam-packed show. Man, I got to start using this view, Ray, that you're using. It's so cool seeing the different columns. Like my setup is totally different than the one that you have, and seeing what you look at. And that's the beauty of having these customizable filters is kind of going, hey, what do I like to see? What kind of indicators do I like? And then putting that the way you like it. And having this ability, but it is nice, definitely seeing that green the way you have it set up versus me. I see a lot of red. But yeah, guys, look, if you like what you saw, please give us some feedback. If you hated it, let us know. This was WGMI's morning show, the 6th episode. We'd love to have any feedback. Jump in our Discord or DM us on Twitter. If you liked the analytics and some of the tools that you're seeing courtesy of WGMI.io, shoot us a DM us the word newsfeed for a chance to win a 7-day trial. Risk free. You get to try everything we have. You get to learn all the secrets, see how the sausage is made. Other than that, Thank you for watching. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and we have an additional bonus Twitter Spaces happening later today. It is at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We're sitting down with Red Sox guy and K-Duck, our Doodles and Cool Cats curators, to go over what's been going on in that ecosystem and how you can potentially get a competitive advantage in the market. That's all I have. Ray, I'll let you finish it off.
Yep. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening. As Clemente said, shoot us a DM. More than willing to let you try out our tool. We're now minting at WGMI.io. It's my go-to tool every morning. I know I'm biased. I'm on the team. I'm working on it day in and day out, but I couldn't make the decisions I do without looking at our tool, both from a quantitative and a qualitative perspective. So check it out and check us out.